And you're on DawgNation Daily, presented by Serpro. Happy to have from the SEC Network and the Mac and Cube radio show there on WJOX, and of course ESPN on the weekends and everything else. It is Greg McElory here today on behalf of Wayne Sanderson Farms. They, by the way, have a great announcement we'll give you here coming up in just a couple of minutes. But before that, thanks for spending a little bit of time with us here today.
No, it's great, man. I'm excited for Kirby to get here tomorrow and turn it up. Kirby's going to fire it up tomorrow, isn't he?
Yeah, I'm excited about that.
Something's coming tomorrow.
Yeah, you got to think so. There's obviously, I think, a lot of unanswered questions that relates to Georgia, and I want to ask you in particular about Gunnar Stockton, who's also going to be here with the Dogs. Before that, though, and I think you know this, you created quite a stir here today with what I think was initially intended to be kind of an offhanded comment. You've kind of heard that maybe Nick Saban might coach again. I was just curious if you wanted to expand on that anymore, because obviously that's the kind of thing that certainly, I mean, I heard all kinds of buzz here around the College Football Hall of Fame about that.
It was unbelievable. I couldn't believe the reaction. It was honestly about as innocent as it gets. So I had talked to some folks that, I've relied upon in the past on pretty reliable information. So they're like, hey, man, don't rule out Coach coming back. I was like, what? No, he's not coming back. No way he's coming back. Like, I'm telling you, just don't rule it out. Just all I'll tell you. I'm like, all right. So I figured I'd ask Feinbaum. As simple as that. I'm like, I'll ask Feinbaum, and he'll tell me. Like, he's as connected as anybody. So Paul's on our show every single Monday at 7:15 Central. So I asked him point blank. I was like, hey, I wouldn't even ask this question if it weren't coming from someone in the past that's been real reliable. Like, have you heard anything about Coach Saban coming back? And obviously, immediately, no. I said, okay, good. That's the same reaction I had. I just wanted to make sure, because I feel like if anything, there'd be buzz. You know? And
my theory is, I'm never retiring. You know what I'm saying? If I'm healthy, God willing, if I'm healthy, I'm going to work as long as I possibly can. I feel like if I'm Nick Saban, it's the same way. It's like if I could come back and coach, which obviously he could, he'd have no shortage of opportunities.
Right.
If I was in his body, if I was in his situation, I would want to. Now, I like being a broadcaster, so,
I think he probably does too. I think it's a fun gig.
So it certainly was just a very interesting thing. It's also interesting to see that Georgia quarterback Gunner Stockton is coming with Georgia. This is not always what Kirby does. Sometimes quarterback comes, sometimes quarterback doesn't.
Right.
What do you make of the fact that Kirby and the other Georgia teammates apparently trust Gunner enough that they're happy to kind of put him on display as a spokesman here this week?
Well, I mean, they were fully behind Gunner every second of the SEC championship game that he played, and they were fully behind him every second of the Sugar Bowl. So I can't say it's like a huge surprise that he's the guy coming into the season, but what I found interesting is that when we visited publicly with Kirby a couple months back, this was in early May, we kind of asked him, hey, how's Gunner doing? He goes, oh, hang on a second, hang on. This thing is far from decided. Like, we love Ryan Puglisi, like, we love all of our quarterbacks. Like, this is still too early at this point to determine who our guy is going to be. And so that's the only thing that I was surprised by, is that he was pretty adamant about this being a competition that would continue on. And now to see him arrive at media days, what's changed? I think that's what I'm most intrigued by. Did Gunner do something early summer that led to him maybe distancing himself from Puglisi and others? Or has there just been such a following within the locker room, and it's mostly player-led in the summertime? Are they just so far already entrenched in the Gunnar Stockton camp that they really had no choice but to bring him? That's what I'm most intrigued by.
So presuming that Gunner is the starter, one of the things I think is a little bit interesting is when you look at the big games that Georgia plays, new quarterback for Tennessee, new quarterback for Alabama, Arch Manning, Texas, is still kind of a new quarterback once you get to November, that it's interesting that for all the pressure that Gunner will face as a new quarterback, in the biggest games that Georgia will play this year, he is also playing quarterbacks with at least a similar level of inexperience, if not even more inexperienced guys on the other side. You got to think to a certain extent that has at least the opportunity to maybe work to his advantage.
I think it does, and just the identity that Georgia's wanting to become. Granted, Nussmeier's got more experience. There's a couple others. I mean, I don't know if Vandy is necessarily on the schedule regular season or in the postseason for Georgia, but Pavia's got a ton of experience. Joey Aguiar from Tennessee, he's got a ton of experience, but not at this level. So there are guys with experience, and the Tennessee game's early, so that we'll find out an awful lot about Georgia that week. But I don't feel like quarterback experience is as big a deal as it once was. Guys just come to school more prepared to play. because they play football year round. Like when I was growing up, it was baseball season, and then we took a month off, then we went to football season, and we played basketball, and then we get back, it's baseball season again. And then we ran track in the spring to stay in shape. So we played 4 sports, and not basketball in high school, but the other 3, yes. So it's kind of crazy to think now these guys are just more prepared than ever before to kind of step right in. And the college offenses have evolved to the point where the high school offense is not that dissimilar to the college offense, and that was not the case when I was younger too. So I wouldn't worry about quarterback experience, but I do think one thing that they absolutely want to be better at is consistently running the football. And that's been an error, kind of a bit of a surprising revelation the last couple of years, is their inconsistency just when you got to run it, running it. And one thing they haven't really utilized is quarterback run game. Now, okay, we saw a couple of years ago, sure, we'd see some quarterback sweep every once in a blue moon, but that wasn't really who they were. I think quarterback power, quarterback stretch, quarterback inside zone read to keep the end man on the line of scrimmage on us. All that stuff will be helpful, and that's all a big part of what Stockton does within his skill set.
I want to ask you about Wayne Sanderson Farms. Fun announcement from them this week. Let me squeeze in something before I get there, though.
Yeah.
When you look at what Georgia is right now from a win total perspective, right there with Alabama and Texas, the highest in the league at 9.5. I'm assuming they're going to be a preseason top 5 team when the real official polls come out. Do you still view this as the same Georgia team it was kind of circa 2022, or has a couple of years of not winning the national championship maybe caused you to kind of question the talent level now compared to what it would have been 2021, 2022?
They're not the same, but that has nothing to do with this team. They're not the same because it has everything to do with what 21 and 22 were. That was a unique blend of ridiculous talent and depth across the board. So I think while people will hear that and think, well, he's doubting Georgia. I'm not doubting Georgia at all. I'm more giving flowers to the Georgia teams of 21 and 22 to set the level of expectation and the bar so high that it's unreachable for pretty much any team that's going to come after that. This team could go undefeated, and they'd probably still say, yeah, I think 21's better. You know what I mean? I think, or 22 is better. I mean, no, it doesn't matter what they do, but I think just with talent kind of spreading out a little bit, I'm still really bullish on Georgia. I think they're going to be great on defense. I'm not at all concerned about what they have in the back 7. Along the front 7, frankly, I do think there are a couple pieces that I'm curious about. As far as game breakers, take over the game guys along the defensive line, I know they have 1, maybe 2. And then offensive line, too. I think that group has a chance to be pretty good, but last year they had growing pains. When Ratledge got hurt, they weren't the same team. And they had challenges at left tackle too. So I think that's kind of what I'm most curious about. Georgia, the best Georgia teams are built inside out, offensive and defensive lines. Will this team be that way? I don't know. I don't know the answer to that, but I think for Georgia fans, that's what they're hoping for.
Is there too much being put on Arch Manning right now? He is also on deck for the SEC here on Tuesday. Too much being put on him right now, or is it just going to naturally come for a player that's obviously got the pedigree that he has?
Well, he's 6-1 to win the Heisman. Second guy is 9-1. I mean, that's all pretty wild for a guy that started 2 games in his college career. And I think last year too, you see him against Georgia, for example, things were just going too fast there in the regular season. Everything was just accelerated, and Georgia just had their number that day. But you see some of the progress when he was kind of sprinkled in as the season went along. You saw him more comfortable, a little bit better, a little bit more comfortable after getting some starts, getting some things off of his chest, and kind of being in a good spot. So I think he's poised to be in a great situation. But I think it's almost impossible to be able to reach the level of expectation that we're going to have for him on day one. That is asking an awful lot. If he can do it, amazing. Power to you. We've seen several freshmen come in and take the world by storm. Some that come to mind, Jameis Winston back in 2013 and leads Florida State to a national championship. Johnny Manziel in 2012. Like, we've seen it happen before where day one these guys are just incredible from start to finish. That's not the norm. Usually there's a couple things where you kind of figure things out, or maybe you start hot, then level off, then start hot, then finish hot. So I'll be curious to kind of see what kind of track it looks like, but he's in a great position to be successful.
So people know Sanderson Farms chicken. They've seen it in their supermarkets for a very long time. And now, fun announcement this week, Wayne Sanderson Farms, who obviously produces Sanderson Farms chicken, also being announced as the official chicken of the SEC, and you're obviously helping to tell their story some here this week. So I know it's a very big deal to have that designation. And I know they're now very proud to be official partners here within the SEC.
Well, it's really kind of at this point now it's just a formality. Like they've already been ingrained into our culture of the SEC for years and years and years. I mean, I grill 4 days a week. Like Sanderson Farms chicken's on the menu 2 times a week, maybe 3 in some given week. So like they've already been part of our story for a long time, but now making it official is amazing. To know that they're the official chicken of the SEC. They've already been supporting some of the poultry science programs at a lot of our institutions, including University of Georgia. So to me, they've already invested in our communities. They've already been a part of our tailgates, but now they get to have the official moniker as the official chicken of the SEC. We got a lot of really fun stuff coming up too. A lot of really cool promotional elements. They're going to be around games. They're going to be around tailgates. They're going to be omnipresent as we prepare for some of the biggest moments of our fall. So I'm thrilled that they're here. I know the league is thrilled that they're here, and we're just lucky to have incredible support from Sanderson Farms, and we look forward to them decorating our tailgates throughout the course of the fall. It's going to be amazing.
Yeah, nothing SEC fans love more than football and some good food to go along with it, right?
No doubt about it, especially chicken. I'm a big chicken guy for sure.
Well, listen, very happy for Wayne Sanderson Farms, now the official chicken of the SEC. It's a thrill to have you. Can't wait for these fall Saturdays watching there on ESPN. Greg, thanks so much for your time.
Thanks again.
And, of course, Mac and Cube show there on WJOX as well. Very busy man. Kind enough to spend some time with us here on DawgNation Daily today.